Okay, call the meeting to order. A silent prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call. Mrs. Franks?
Mayor Kendall.
Present.
And attending virtually from.
City Hall of Harper Woods.
And Mayor Pro Tem Costantino.
Present and attending virtually from my home in Harper Woods.
Councilwoman Lyons. You're muted.
Present and attending virtually from my home in Harper Woods.
Councilwoman Pies.
Present, attending virtually from Harper Woods.
Councilwoman Sawicki.
Present and attending virtually from my house in Harper Woods.
Councilwoman Williams is absent tonight. Councilman Toussaint.
Present and attending virtually from my home in Harper Woods.
Acting City Manager Szymanski.
Here.
And City Attorney DeWally.
Here.
Very good, thank you.
We need a motion to excuse Councilwoman Williams.
Madam Mayor,
Yes. Councilwoman.
I'll offer the motion to excuse Councilwoman Williams for prior engagement.
I'll support it. Costantino.
Okay, support.
Yeah, it's not a prior engagement though.
Well, I think that's what we always call it.
Well,
Oh, okay. All right, yeah.
okay.
So.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, let me explain before we continue on. I have a dental surgery, and so that's the reason I'm wearing a mask tonight. So not to panic because John is contagious or anything, but just to make sure that that I not get this infected. So anyway, moving on. I need approval of the minutes. I need a motion.
Madam Mayor,
Councilwoman Sawicki.
I will offer the motion to receive, approve, and file the minutes of the regular city council meeting held on June 7th, 2021. To receive, approve, and file the special city council meeting held June 14th, 2021. To receive and file the library board meeting held May 20th, 2021. And to receive and file the planning commission meeting held June 23rd, 2021.
Support.
Supported by Councilwoman Constantino. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Is there anyone opposed?
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Councilwoman Sawicki.
I have a correction to the regular city council meeting held June 7th. I think that comes in before we vote.
Okay,
And that is just to correct the tabling motion. The motion was to table to a special meeting on June 14th. And so it was a specific tabling motion. And I just wanted that to be reflected in the minutes.
so duly noted.
Madam Mayor,
Yes. Yes, Councilwoman Lyons.
I would also like to make a correction to the notes in the minutes for June 14th, 2021. Under my comments during call to council, it was said erroneously that I had said that if Mr. Raker had been here during the last year, he would have been instrumental in making these developments happen. I said that Mr. Raker was instrumental in making these developments happen.
That's right. Okay, fine. So duly noted. Are there any other corrections? And all those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
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 I don't hear from you. Okay, Ms. Councilwoman Constantino, Councilwoman Lyons, are you voting?
Yes, this muting issue is a problem here.
You could
Just leave yourself unmuted, please.
Thank you. Aye.
Okay, anyone opposed? Motion carries. Okay, public comment on agenda items.
If anybody wishes to speak about any item on the agenda, either electronically raise your hand or turn your camera on and wave your hand in front of the camera so I can acknowledge you along with the mayor and let you speak. I will click on an unmute button and you'll get a pop-up to unmute yourself. Would anybody like to speak?
All right, seeing none. Consent agenda, I need a resolution for the consent agenda. 1 through 9.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Councilwoman Constantino,
I'll offer the resolution to approve the consent agenda items 1 through 9.
Support.
supported by,
Support.
I think Ms. Lyons.
Miss Lyons.
all right, Councilwoman Lyons, supported. Okay, roll call vote, Mrs. Franks,
Mayor Pro Tem Costantino,
Yes.
Councilwoman Lyons,
Yes.
Councilwoman Pies,
Yes.
Councilwoman Sawicki.
Yes.
Councilman Toussaint,
Yes.
and Mayor Kendall.
yes.
Okay, resolution passes.
All right, there's no old business, so let's move on to new business. And Acting City Manager Szymanski.
Madam Mayor and City Council, item G1, redevelopment ready communities. Elizabeth King, Senior RRC Planner of the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, MEDC, will be presenting the city's finalized redevelopment ready community baseline report and provide a short PowerPoint presentation. The next step in this process is to adopt a resolution to proceed, which I have attached for your review.
All right,
Good evening. My name is, sorry. My name is Elizabeth King. I'm a senior redevelopment ready communities planner at the Michigan Economic Development Corporation. And I'm just going to give you a brief overview of the baseline report that we wrote for Harbor Woods. So before we get deep into the baseline report, let me just go over kind of the MEDC and how everything is structured. So the Michigan Economic Development Corporation is made up of 3 divisions. And those are business development, community development, and our marketing and communications division, which houses our Pure Michigan program. And the Redevelopment Ready Communities program lives in the community development division, which really focuses on creating vibrant communities. Whereas our business development is really focused on attracting those large employers and you know, those large businesses. Us in the community development division, we're more focused on creating vibrant places where people and companies both choose to move to. The Redevelopment Ready Communities Program, which I'll also refer to as RRC, is a voluntary technical assistance program available to any Michigan community. It helps communities build a strong foundation for community-driven economic development through planning, zoning, training, marketing, and more. So think of RRC as a technical assistance program that is a roadmap to success. What RRC is not is also pretty important. So RRC is a self-help program. So while the RRC team can provide technical assistance and guidance, we don't always have the capacity to update a community's plans or zoning directly. So those things will need to happen in-house. Our program is also not cookie cutter. It's really flexible to and built to fit your community. The program cannot address all challenges because communities are complex, but we really can help you address challenges with planning and zoning and economic development. And we really value Harper Woods as an ongoing partner in the RRC program. Right now, we're working with about 295 communities across the state of varying sizes, and we have 55 certified RRC communities. So RRC is a third-party review and audit of your planning and zoning. So we review, as part of the RRC program, the plans, policies, and practices that the community has in place. And we do this to really to help you create those vibrant places. Talent wants place, place needs business, business needs talent. Nowadays, more so than ever, especially with remote work, people are choosing where they want to live first and finding jobs second. So they're really moving to places that offer them those high quality of life. Hold on one second, I'm so sorry. The RC program is driven by 6 principles. So it's community driven. So it's really based on your community's vision and goals being the heart of everything, defining how it plans, what actions you prioritize, how the zoning code looks, and more. No two communities are the same, and the RC program recognizes that and provides a variety of options to integrate the best practices. The RC program really strives for predictability and helping communities build a predictable development experiences. When applicants can easily find and comprehend development standards and expectations, they'll be more likely to invest in a community now and in the future. We really want this program to be implementable and for the communities to not just adopt the best practices or create plans that will sit on a shelf. Our program is designed to have your community's key planning documents implemented. The RC program is really based on being proactive and, driving development or redevelopment in your communities. We're also striving to make it equitable and collaborative. There are 2 RC levels now. We got some feedback from some of our municipalities that RC needed to be more flexible. So we created an RRC Essentials and an RRC Certified path. And Harper Woods has selected the RRC Certified path. And this is important because Harper Woods does not have a traditional downtown. So to really get the most out of the RRC program, Harper Woods will need to be certified, but certification signals that communities have integrated all of the RRC best practices into their local processes and are proactively seeking out community development opportunities while providing that predictable development experience. There is no deadline for achieving the RRC certified designation. It's really a work at your own pace to meet all the best practices kind of program. So this slide kind of shows where Harper Woods is at in the RSC program. The city became engaged back in March of 2020. What a time to take on something new. I wrote the city's baseline evaluation, which we'll get to in a little more detail in just a second here, back in May. And so this is kind of the point where we go over that baseline report, and hopefully you'll decide that you want to continue with the program. And then you'll work on integrating those missing best practices and achieving RRC certification. So now that we've done the overview, let's just kind of talk about the bones of the RRC program. So our program is based on 6 best practices. Number 1 is focused on plans and public engagement. Best practice 2 is focused on zoning. Best practice 3 is focused on the development review process. Best practice 4 is focused on boards and commissions, recruitment, orientation, and training. Best practice 5 is focused on economic development and marketing strategies for the city. And best practice 6 is a post-certification best practice that focuses on the city's redevelopment ready sites. So don't get too scared away by the red here. The RRC baseline report really is a snapshot in time. So as you work through the program, these best practices will change from red and yellow to green. It's just a matter of going through the process and making the updates to meet the missing best practices. So right now, Harper Woods is meeting 13% of the RRC best practices, and the yellows show that the city is in progress or partially meeting some of the other RRC best practices. So let's talk about what the city is already meeting. You guys have some pretty good general landscaping requirements in the zoning ordinance that outline street tree planting standards, parking lot landscaping, and standards for the preservation of existing plant material. So that is somewhere where you're meeting the best practices. That's great. You also have a really clearly defined development review process in your zoning ordinance. You have point of contact information around development on the website, and you have a planning commission approval of permitted use site plans. So that's excellent. That helps make development more efficient in the city and hopefully helps make it more of a one-stop shop. So now let's talk about the items where you were making good progress, but they're not quite meeting the best practices. So here we have the master plan. Harper Woods master plan is from 2013, which means it's overdue for its 5-year review and update. And when it's updated, it will need to include priority redevelopment areas and an implementation section with timelines and responsible parties. And those timelines and responsible parties are really to help create accountability and make sure that all those good ideas in the master plan don't just sit on a shelf, that they're actually implemented. And this is kind of an aside for the opportunities for improvement, but the city's also missing corridor plans. And so corridor plans could also be included in a master plan update. Another area where Harper Woods is missing the mark a little bit on one of the best practices is best practice 2.3, concentrated development. So when we look at this best practice, we're looking for municipalities that allow mixed use buildings by right in areas of concentrated development. So that's areas you'd like to see possibly as your downtown, your walkable. I know Harper Woods doesn't have a downtown, but the areas you're looking to make more dense, more walkable, and honestly more financially robust. We're looking for you to allow mixed use buildings by right in those areas, and for you to include or require some placemaking provisions. And actually right now, dwelling in non-residential districts is actually expressly prohibited in Harper Woods. So that'll need to be updated to align with the RSC best practices. Housing diversity is another area where Harper Woods will need to update its zoning ordinance to allow for greater housing diversity. Right now, for diverse housing, the city only permits townhomes by right in the multifamily area. And there's actually a lot of restrictions around building that sort of housing. So to meet this best practice, the city will need to update the zoning ordinance to permit 2 additional diverse housing types by right. So that's some of that missing middle housing. That could be ADUs, triplexes, fourplexes. There's a whole variety of housing types to choose from that Harper Woods could decide to adopt. And then we'll just also need to add a little bit more information around the development review process to the website and create a comprehensive guide to development. Opportunities to improvement. So I kind of already touched on this. Harper Woods is missing a corridor plan. I know you have a lot going on in your high impact corridors. So you'll just need to create a plan for those areas for how they'll be developed in the future. Harper Woods will also need to create a 6-year capital improvement plan that will help strategically plan for capital investments in the future. The internal review process will need to be documented, and that really helps when you're facing turnover or you have new employees coming on. It'll just help keep things running smoothly in the future. And then another opportunity for improvement is the creation of an overarching training strategy for development related boards and commissions, kind of outlining a training plan and priorities for the community. So those is just a brief overview of the RSC baseline report. You should have that in your packets, or should have been emailed to you, also with a memo kind of summarizing the report and what I've just said here. So now let's talk about the next steps. So we're really going to ask you, hopefully I haven't scared you away too much and you'd like to pass a resolution to proceed with the program, that you think it's valuable and you'd like to do the work. And then I'll continue to work with Ty to implement some of those missing best practices. And then eventually, once all of the missing best practices are met, the city will become a certified redevelopment ready community. We do really see the MEDC program. It's not a one-person show. It really does need to be a team sport. So that team could be made of city staff, the planning commission, possibly residents and business owners, Wayne County, EDC, and the other state departments. Everyone's kind of willing to pitch in, but it does need to be more than a one-person show. And then just to touch on the value real quick before I finish it off. So certification is a signal that your community is open for business. We do offer technical assistance matching funding to help your city meet some of the missing best practices of up to $30,000. And once Harper Woods is certified, you'll have greater prioritization for community development funding tools. So let's say you have a redevelopment along one of your prioritized corridors in your downtown, and it needs community revitalization funding to help fill the gap in that development project. As a certified community, Harper Woods would get greater prioritization for that. And the program is just an ongoing partnership with the MEDC. You can learn more about our program at myplace.org. under the Redevelopment Ready Communities program. I'd also really like to invite you to take our virtual academy coming up this fall. It's going to be in the evenings on Tuesday night, about an hour and a half for a few weeks, and it'll run through all of the RRC best practices in detail. So it's a really great way to learn a lot more about the program and urban planning for economic development. Here is my contact email information, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions for Mrs. King?
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Councilwoman Pies.
I'd like to offer a resolution so that we may have discussion following that.
I'm sorry. Before you do that, I think Councilwoman Lyons had a question.
I'm sorry, Bob, I can't always be unmuted. There's some background noises. But I was going to offer, but instead I'll let Miss Councilwoman Pies.
Oh, okay, you were gonna offer the resolution also.
Yes.
Okay, Councilwoman Lyons had her hand up, so go ahead with the resolution.
Shall I go ahead with the resolution? I will go ahead with the resolution, please. I would like to offer by resolution to adopt the attached resolution to proceed with a redevelopment ready communities, RRC, program of the Michigan Economic Development Corporation.
Support.
Supported by Councilwoman Lyons. All in, can I have a roll call vote, Mrs. Franks?
I'm sorry, do we need discussion?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Well, no, it doesn't say, but any discussion?
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Councilwoman Lyons.
I would like to direct this question to the presenter, and I have just some curiosity about examples of, implementable collaborative plans that, you've seen or have examples of in Southeast Michigan specifically that, show a capital improvement plan, like a 6-year capital improvement plan, and, one that has done, wonders for a community in terms of, bringing in new development and bringing in also, just community buy-in. And can you speak to some examples of cities who have done this well as far as 6-year planning? And that was for Elizabeth. Oh, and you're you can't be unmuted on your own.
Yeah, so first I would say you'd probably start with the update of your master plan, and you would do your community engagement around your master plan and around those priority redevelopment areas or your key corridor. So I think that would be your starting point with your community engagement. And then you would create the department heads would work together with city leadership to create the capital improvements plan. And I would say Rochester Hills, I know maybe not the most comparable example, but they had the Auburn Hills, the Auburn Road corridor. And they planned for that corridor to become a walkable, pedestrian-oriented area. And they put it in their capital improvements plan. And then they implemented the street design changes to make Auburn Road. It's completely transformed it. If you go there, there's little roundabouts, there's sidewalks now, it's a much smaller road. And so they've really transformed that area through planning and then through capital improvements plan. They do, they do a capital improvements plan each year based on the various city priorities. And then they implemented it. So I can work to maybe find some other examples, but that one, they have one of the best capital improvements plans that I've seen.
Madam Mayor.
Madam Mayor,
Councilwoman Sawicki.
Yes, just another question for the presenter, and that has to do with the mixed use. Our community is fairly developed. I mean, we've got, I think most of them, probably 90% of the community. We have one area that we have started to explore for mixed use. That would be the Popard redevelopment. But is this the type of thing that you see changing in a community that's fully developed? Is there, these mixed use opportunities? Is that something that, I'm just kind of curious because it was indicated as an area of opportunity for improvement, and in a fully developed community, I'm just kind of curious as to how that works.
Yeah, so to get the changes, first you have to allow the changes. So you would need to allow it in your zoning ordinance. But then, if there were empty lots that would, or not even empty lots, fully built out lots, but lots that sell or are key opportunities to redevelop, taking them from a single story building that's just maybe retail or industrial to a multi-story mixed use building. Absolutely does happen. I know Clawson is a good recent example of this. They had a project on their Ace Hardware site where it was just a single story Ace Hardware, and they're redeveloping that Ace Hardware site into, they're keeping the Ace Hardware, but it'll be a 3-story building with 2 levels of residential on top of it. So it can absolutely happen in built out communities.
But this is not something where you're going to necessarily, put some business into the heart of the community. I mean, we're primarily residential. So I think you're talking about on the corridors like Kelly Road or Harper, but not necessarily within the residential area of the community. Is that proper? Is that correct? I can't envision having a business popped in the middle of the city, just to afford the
it's definitely based on community context, right? And it would be along your key commercial corridors.
Right.
And it's not something that happens overnight. This is a very long-term thinking and looking kind of strategy.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilwoman Pies.
Thank you. I had my question answered.
Oh, okay, thank you. Are there any further questions, discussion? Is there any further discussions?
Madam Mayor?
Yes, Councilwoman Lyons.
So another question for Ms. King. So working with the city of Detroit, when I was working with planning and development there for the city, you notice that people will undertake this process. This process will begin, and what does that timeline actually look like for seeking to become redevelopment ready? Because for some reason, they had this issue where they were seeking to do this and become redevelopment ready, and it was long and drawn out, whereas other cities it's faster. And is it just a matter of reaching the criteria, or trying to find more collaboration and more buy-in from the community that it takes to actually make yourself, as a city, as an entity, more redevelopment ready?
It's definitely about reaching the criteria, but the amount of time that it takes to reach those criteria varies, right? You guys have some long-range projects that you'll undertake, so this won't necessarily be a swift project, and it really depends on how much staff time can be dedicated to the program. So, if you had a master plan that was already up to date, or corridor plans, you'd be further along. So some communities take a long time to get through the program. Farmington, the city of Farmington, I think came into the program in 2014 and was just certified this year. So it really depends on what the community needs to do, and then how much time and resources is really dedicated to it. it takes a long time to update your community plans and update your zoning ordinances and create that community vision. So I like to say it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. And we're really looking for quality over quantity, right? So you could have someone come in and check the boxes, but you probably won't get what you want out of the program, which is supposed to be more of a transformational program. So if you're just checking the boxes to check the boxes, it's possible you'll check the boxes and you'll get certified, but you won't see the results.
All right. Are there any further discussions? Roll call vote, Mrs. Franks?
Councilwoman Lyons,
Yes.
Councilwoman Pies,
Yes.
Councilwoman Sawicki,
Yes.
Councilman Toussaint,
Yes.
Mayor Kindle,
Yes.
and Mayor Pro Tem Costantino.
Yes.
Okay, resolution passes.
Okay, Madam Mayor and City Council, item G2, partnership for baseball camp. Attached is an invoice from the Harperwood School District for baseball equipment, hats, t-shirts, uniforms, and supplies for the Let's Play Ball Boys and Girls Baseball Camp starting July 13th. This amount represents the city's share in its partnership with the Harperwood School District, Neighborhood United Maximum Effort Now Group, Newman, and in association with our police department and the Detroit Rangers. This baseball camp is for ages 6 to 12 years old and may serve as a springboard to revitalize baseball participation now and in the future for the city's youth. It is my recommendation that this be approved.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Councilwoman Lyons?
I'll offer the resolution to approve the partnership with the Harperwood School District and Neighborhood United Maximum Effort Now, New Men, to hold baseball camp for boys and girls aged 6 to 12 years old, and further to approve the city share of $12,000 for the purchase of baseball equipment, hats, shirts, and supplies.
A second.
Support.
Councilwoman Toussaint? Support, I'm sorry, before you, Councilwoman Constantino. All right, are there any discussions?
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Councilwoman Sawicki?
I'm just curious about the total cost because we used to have a pretty active Little League program, and I know that the cost per child in Little League covered their uniform and all of this stuff. And I see in the literature that the per cost for participation is $45 for Harperwood's residents, $50 for non-residents, and yet the city is being asked to pay $12,000. And so I'm curious about, I guess, what the share is involved. It seems as if, we don't see a total amount, and I don't even know how many kids are being served by this program. And so I guess I'm a little concerned about where the city money is going and how much money this program is creating, and where that money is going. Because, if we were able to have a very active Little League program with students essentially paying all of the costs of Little League through not much more than, or maybe it is the same amount that is being asked for per child here, I guess I'm just a little concerned at the cost of the program and how many kids are going to be serviced and where all the money is going. Who else is paying? If it's $12,000 from us and $45 from every participant, and who knows how much from the other organizations that are mentioned in this, where's all the money going?
Okay.
Okay, Councilwoman Sawicki, back in the day when we did have Little League, there were fundraisers, active fundraisers that used to offset, you know, a lot of those costs. Again, we're looking for 2 uniform shirts, baseball pants, baseball caps, equipment. Equipment is more expensive now than it was back in the day. And coaching, people involved in the program charge anywhere from $4,000 to $6,000 to participate in this event. And again, this is something new. We are in participation with the schools. The schools are going to be providing food and other support services. So this is all brand new. We think it's worthwhile. We think it's a way for kids to get engaged in the community, get engaged with our public safety services, get engaged with our parks. So we're going to be watching, you know, where the money goes to, but we don't think that this is unreasonable. It's not
And
unreasonable.
how many students or how many kids are going to be serviced? How many have signed up?
They first have to have the money to start signing up the kids, but the numbers I've been hearing could be as high as 100 kids. So there's going to be quite a few kids. Yes.
Okay.
Question?
Is there anyone else?
Ms. Pies had her hand raised and Ms. Constantino has her hand raised.
Okay, Mrs. Pies, Councilwoman Pies.
Thank you. I wondered if there were going to be scholarships for any of the children. I know it says to come with cleats and to show up with some other things. And I know I couldn't afford certain things when I wanted to play sports when I was a kid. So I'm wondering how these kids, if we'll be able to have them participate in any way.
Yeah, again, this is just for ages 6 to 12 years old. So we expect this to grow. We expect this to be pretty popular, you know, in the future. And again, this is starting a brand new program. I want to say from an old program that we used to have before. Baseball was always something that was big in the city. And it looks to be a springboard into that again. We have nice parks. We have nice equipment facilities. And again, this is an experiment, but it's one that will serve a community purpose here.
So are we saying then that we will offer scholarships to these children or
not? It's not off the table, but
Right.
but I'm just saying that, you know, we need a start, you know. This is just a start right now.
And to your question, yes, they will be offered. No kid will be turned away because they cannot afford to participate in this program.
Okay, thank you.
Councilwoman Constantino.
Yes, $12,000 doesn't sound like a lot of money to get a brand new program like this. Well, I mean, I know we used to have programs, but the equipment and everything has gone by the wayside and such. So to start a program like this and to get all the supplies, the equipment, and get everything going, $12,000 seems relatively inexpensive to provide this for the kids in our community.
Thank you. Thank you, Coach. I'm sorry, Councilwoman Toussaint.
Yeah, if somebody was to donate to this, who would they make the check out to? And also, I understand that the Harperwood School is also donating like $5,000.
Yes,
Yes, and they're providing food.
right.
And
Okay,
again, who, if we want to donate, who would we make the check out to?
It would go to Harperwood's
school
schools.
district.
School district, yes. They are monitoring the whole program.
They're the
And put the program in the memo part on your check.
Yes.
yes.
Yeah, yeah.
I believe Coach Smith is on the Zoom call. Coach Smith,
Hang on, let me try and locate him.
the Smith family. No.
Hey, we're here. I'm still looking. Give me a moment, please.
He has his hand raised.
Oh,
Oh, that's why I couldn't see him. I was looking on the other screen. Okay.
okay, there's his
Oh,
hand
Smith.
up.
There we go.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
What is your question?
Yes, I would like you to probably expound a little more about this program, if possible.
Yes, to answer some of the questions that I heard, our target area is 100 children.
Okay.
We are accepting any type of scholarships, any types of donations for this program. Harperwood School District has estimated that they will be providing both a breakfast meal and a lunch meal at a cost of approximately $7,000. We have already received verbal commitments from our business community in upwards of $700 to assist with this program. There is one business in particular that has offered to pay for the pants, the baseball pants for the children. This
Wow.
program hopefully will be a kickstart to rejuvenate baseball in Harper Woods. It is a baseball camp for 4 weeks, 100 kids, and we have 2 former professional baseball players who will be leading a training. This is for beginners, boys and girls. We specifically wanted to target 6-year-olds to 12-year-olds because what we want to do is teach them the proper way to play baseball and to utilize our beautiful parks. Hopefully this will galvanize them to want to continue to play baseball when they learn to play it the proper way. It is our hope to include all of our residents of Harper Woods to engage with us because this is a very costly endeavor. But we believe that in the area of about $20,000 allows us to completely pay for equipment, uniform, food, and to assist us with the expenses for these professional trainers who are working with our children.
Thank you so very much, Coach. Is there any further questions?
Yes, Madam Mayor,
Councilwoman Pies?
I'm wondering if any coaches or administrators or whatever from our Little League, our previous Little League, will be involved in this,
Can you hear me?
perhaps? Yes.
Yeah, first of all, I want to thank Councilwoman Cheryl Constantino. She put me in touch with a couple past Harper Woods Little League. One of the presidents, I believe his name escapes me right now, but he is eagerly
Jenkins.
wanting to be a part of this, and he's recruiting other members from Harper Woods Little League to assist us. I was just at Bert's Sports Haven on Kelly at between 8 and 9 Mile, where again, I met some past baseball coaches who are just as excited as we are to start baseball again in Harper Woods. And they've also offered their assistance in jumpstarting this program.
Wonderful.
Thank you. Are there any further questions? Okay, I need a resolution.
I think we have that on the table.
Resolution, so no discussion, so roll call vote. Mrs.
Council-
Burke, please.
Councilwoman Pies,
Yes.
Councilwoman Sawicki,
Yes.
Councilman Tucson,
Yes.
Mayor Kindle,
Yes,
Mayor Pro Tem Costantino,
Yes.
and Councilwoman Lyons.
Yes.
Okay, resolution passes.
all right.
Okay, Madam Mayor and City Council, we have item G3. I would ask that this be postponed to the next meeting simply because the wrong attachment came to the City Council instead of the revised ordinance. So, Madam Mayor, if you would entertain a motion to postpone this to the August 9th meeting where we could provide council with the revised resolution.
Okay, Yes,
Madam Mayor?
Wiki.
I'll offer the motion to table this to the next city council meeting.
Support.
Support by Councilwoman Pies.
There's no
Any discussion?
Madam Mayor?
Yes, Councilwoman Constantino.
This is something that I feel should go before the ordinance committee. For some reason, though, you know, there's no reason why the ordinance committee shouldn't be meeting. And this resolution as well as some other stuff needs to go before the ordinance committee and work out a lot of the details. And I know our city attorney's done a lot of work on this, but there's some complicated things, and I realize that we didn't get the updated version, but I would like for us to call an ordinance committee meeting and put this before it, as well as another ordinance that's on today's agenda. I would suggest that we would call the meeting within the next month. And we've been trying to call an ordinance committee meeting for 1.5 years, or at least over 1 year. And so there's no excuse not to have one anymore. We can certainly get together in person. I would suggest maybe August 2nd as a date for an ordinance committee meeting.
We'll check the dates.
Is this
That's-
something that should
that's
be
not good for the
discussed at a
city
later
attorney.
time? I think we're just tabling it for right now, aren't we?
Right, we're tabling this. So that's, you know, there's the confusion about what's before us. Right now, we're tabling this right now. Where to put it at, it's a different whole discussion. So right now, can we just table this to our next meeting? And that was what the motion was about. Are there any further discussion as to whether to table this or not? Seeing none? Okay, can we have a roll call vote then, please?
The motion.
A motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay.
Okay, now, let's move on to the next, and Councilwoman Constantino, we will bring that up at a later time regarding your ordinance meeting request.
Okay, moving on to item G4, Milk River Operation and Maintenance. Madam Mayor and Council, attached is an invoice from Wayne County for operation and maintenance of the Milk River drain for April through June 2021. This is in accordance with the budget amount set by the Drainage District. It is recommended that this payment be approved.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Councilwoman Pies.
I'll offer by resolution to approve payment to Wayne County in the amount of $327,133.50 for the operation and maintenance of the Milk River drain for April through June 2021.
Support.
Support by Councilwoman Sawicki. Discussion?
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Councilwoman Sawicki.
that's me. Just a curiosity point for the acting city manager. It mentions that it's the amount set by the drain board, but is this what we in fact budgeted? I mean, it's normally the wording is that this is the amount that we've budgeted for this, and I presume that that's what's intended. But I just wanted to verify that.
Yes, we did budget for this amount. I want to say with the overruns that were occurring last 1.5 years, maybe 2 years ago, what the city has done in conjunction with Grosse Pointe Woods and St. Clair Shores, we have bonded for those overruns. So you're not going to see those being charged to the operation and maintenance regarding the Milk River anymore. They're regular bond payments.
All right, and as far as the flooding issue that we had in Harper Woods, Milk River seems to have not been mentioned as one of the areas that had an issue. Do you know of, are we going to be seeing any extra costs related to the flooding?
We will see extra cost related to hauling the debris in the basements. I talked with an official from FEMA this morning. There will be reimbursements for those extra charges and other things as well.
And you can ask Bill to speak if you.
Yeah, and Bill Schneider is there. Bill? You have anything to add in regards to this?
No, not necessarily. You know what? You covered that pretty well. Yeah, there's going to be some additional costs for disposals that we should be able to get reimbursed for. And not all this has settled out yet. There will be some additional charges coming in, but everything that we are doing relative to flood issues has been documented, and we have a great paper trail of what has been done so far, with percentages completed and where we're going to go and continue to go with this.
And the Milk River overflow and all of that took care of our end of the community. I mean, I didn't hear about any problems with Milk River, but I just thought I'd ask about that aspect.
And I just want to say that Torrey Road Pumping Station, okay, critical to this whole link.
Right.
We reinstated ourselves back in with the Torrey Road Pumping Station. It would have been a disaster in this community had we not been part of it. Torrey Road pulls out all the sanitation from the city of Harper Woods. We have two systems, a stormwater system and a sewage system. And this, you only may use this once in a lifetime. But boy, if we didn't have the Torrey Road Pumping Station, we would have had, just like Grosse Pointe Woods, it would have been a mixture of sewage and stormwater on a much, much larger scale. It's been contained. Bill, if you have anything to add to that too.
To that end, yes. You know what, without getting too far into the weeds with this and talking about sewers, and Sharon's already smiling, and I know why. So I'll be, the abbreviated version is yes. You know what, our outflow that goes to a very large sewage chamber in the alley of Mack Avenue in the area of Stanhope and Allard that is maintained by Wayne County, has a couple of diversion chambers in there to Kirby Road and Torrey Road. And long story short, that it is a safeguard against flooding by a diversion to the Milk River for the residents here in Harper Woods.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Are there any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, roll call vote, please. Mrs. Franks?
Councilwoman Sawicki,
Yes.
Councilman Tucson,
Yes.
Mayor Kendall,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Costantino,
Yes.
Councilwoman Lyons,
Yes.
and Councilwoman Pies.
Yes.
Okay, resolution passes.
Okay, Madam Mayor, item G5, amendment to the fee schedule. Mayor and Council, the 2018 fee schedule has been reviewed by all departments, and it has been determined that it was necessary to amend some of these fees. I have attached the schedule here for your consideration. All the changes are reflected in red. The majority of fees are not being changed, and those changes that have been made are consistent with such fees charged in other communities. The intent of such fees is to reimburse the city for the activities, equipment, and technology in use by our employees charged with servicing the community. It is my recommendation that the attached 2021 fee schedule be adopted.
All right, I need a resolution.
Madam Mayor,
Councilwoman Sawicki?
I'll offer the resolution to adopt the attached 2021 schedule of fees, establishing various fees for housing registration, business licenses, plumbing, building, electrical and mechanical permits, miscellaneous city clerk, Department of Public Works, Police Department and Fire Department fees as submitted by the acting city manager with said fees to be effective immediately.
Support.
Support by Councilwoman Pies. Discussion, please.
Madam Mayor?
Madam Mayor?
Okay. Councilwoman Constantino?
Yes, in the past, the schedule of fees has gone before the ordinance committee. And some of these seem kind of random. The ordinance committee raised all the fees about 3 years ago. Some of these make sense. Some of these are things that we've discussed, but there's like, it appears to maybe possibly be a little bit hastily put together, or that you know, like I said, some things are missing and some things are without explanation. There's some fees on here. I'm trying to find the page, sorry, it's way deep in. Like the amount has like doubled or more than doubled, and then there's some fees on here that you know, the amount needs to increase. The parking permits, you know, there's no definition of what temporary is or what on here or what have you. You know, there's just a lot of things that I think probably need to be ironed out. The portable storage containers, that, you know, it looks like there was something in there, but then it was taken out. And I don't know, I just feel like there needs to be more explanation, and some of these things just need to be gone over. Again, this is something I would refer to the ordinance committee.
And Councilmember Constantino, just in short, just to give you an explanation of our methods that we were using here, some of the fees that we were charging, they involved actually 2 and 3 inspections by Safe Built to, I want to say, certify that part of the inspection. And we might have been charging $50, we might have been charging $100, but it cost us about $75 per visit from Safe Built. So we weren't even recouping our money back on a lot of these fees. And I think that Jim LaPalme might be in on this meeting as well. And I would ask that he clarify some of the fees that you may have had a question with. Jim?
Okay, yeah, and I noticed the industrial facility, we're only charging $100. What constitutes an industrial facility? If it's going to be an entire industrial park, $100 is not even going to come close to covering our expenses. So, you know, I would think that would need to be, you know, considerably higher as well. But I'll give Mr. LaPalme a chance to explain.
Exactly what difference in the fee schedule are you referring to?
Let's see. So like for the abandoned vacant property schedule, you eliminated the annual renewal. Does that mean that they have to pay $200 again, or do they not have to renew?
No, they would have to pay it on an annual basis.
So pay $200 on an annual basis?
Correct.
Okay, all right. So, and then as far as different types of properties, you're charging $200 for all types of properties to have their certificate of compliance. So something with, you know, multiple family housing is being charged the same as one family housing? Is that?
No, if it's a multi-family, it would be the 200 and then an additional $50 per unit.
Okay. And then the industrial facility, you have $100 annually. What would be the Well, we constitute an industrial facility. And why would it only be $100 if a house is $200?
I would have to look at that item. I don't.
That's a business license. That's a business license.
Oh, that's for a business license. That would be the city clerk.
Okay, city clerk,
That's just a business license.
that's just for the business license.
Right.
Okay. Hold on, I gotta kind of go through here. Now, for zoning permit fees, you have a $50 fee for each inspection plus $50.
So basically the administrative fee would be $50 to process all the paperwork, and then we would charge a $50 fee per inspection. Your zoning permit, like for a shed, previously was $50. So for $50, you were giving them the administrative fee service plus the inspector going out there 2 different times. So it's just, you're losing money.
But now people are paying $150 for
A shed.
$1 shed.
Yep. So if it was a zoning permit that only needed 1 inspection, then it'd be 100.
All right. So investigative fee, work started without a permit. I agree that we should raise that, but the proposed increase is $100. I mean, what recourse do we have if somebody has done work without a permit, like extensive work without a permit?
Well, they would still need to pull a permit and pay that fee, but they would be charged the additional $100 for performing the job without a permit.
Would that be for the contractor or the homeowner or the business owner or?
Well, inevitably it would fall on the homeowner, because there's a lot of times we don't know who the contractor was because they did not pull a permit. So our first course of action would be to contact the homeowner or business owner.
Okay. Hold on, give me a couple seconds. There were some big ones that I wanted to ask about. I'm just going through this. Yeah, and I see like different little things for like chimney liners and humidifiers. You had to have a permit for humidifier. Is that correct?
Yes.
Why?
For a humidifier?
Yes. It's a $15 permit. It doesn't seem like it's worth the paperwork.
That's a $15 addition to the permit. That's a line item.
And all right, the portable storage containers. I know that we have gone into detail on that, I think in the ordinance committee in the past. So it's just a flat $100 permit fee if they leave the portable storage container out for more than 72 hours?
The first 72 hours are free. After 72 hours, then it is $100.
Okay, and then for the engineering inspections of waters and taps, for a 2-inch compound meter, it's gone from $1,800 to $3,170. Is there a reason why?
That would probably be Bill Snyder.
Bill Snyder, Superintendent Snyder.
Yes, actually, that number was referenced from our meter supplier. That was just the cost increase to the city for the purchase of that meter.
Okay, because it's listed as, okay. That's just how much it costs then? All right. All right. And then the 3 inches cost $3,725?
Correct.
Okay. So under what circumstances will we be charging someone this cost?
That would be for a new installation. We do not have a lot of 2-inch or 3-inch meters in our city. Most of them are 5/8 or 7/8. Some of the larger commercial properties may be putting in 2-inch compound meters, which detect a compound as a high flow and a low flow through the meter itself. And this is just the increase in cost that is what we would be paying for these meters.
Okay, I didn't see 7/8 on here as an option.
Oh, I'm sorry, 3/4.
Oh, okay, so that would be normally be $100 for most people.
Correct.
Okay. And then I guess, what constitutes, I guess this would be the, chief, what constitutes a temporary parking permit?
The chief is not available today. He could not make the meeting. So, but I'll get the answer to your question.
Leslie's got her hand up.
Oh, okay.
If I may, according to the ordinance, the chief can make a recommendation to increase a fee to the city council. And in 2019, we had an extensive conversation with the chief, and he raised the annual parking permits to $45. And they also instituted temporary parking permits for $10 for anybody who wanted to have a guest overnight that would park on the street. They could get a temporary permit for $10. And I believe that was, it originated in the ordinance committee.
Yes.
Right, yeah, we talked about that.
So-
but Really
so we
say
did,
how
yeah.
how long a temporary permit was going to be is not.
Right. So we did implement that, but it was not officially approved by the city council under the fee schedule itself. So that's just been added since 2019.
Okay, is that for 30 days or?
I don't recall the length of time, but I think that was based on what the police department would allow. I was kind of looking through the ordinances just now and I can't put my finger on it.
Yeah, I'm not sure that was 100% resolved before COVID as to exactly how long that would be. But we might want to resolve that. Again, another reason why we need to involve the ordinance committee.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote, please. Mrs. Franks.
Okay, Councilman Toussaint,
Yes.
Mayor Kindle,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Costantino,
Yes,
Councilwoman Lyons,
Yes.
Councilwoman Pies,
Yes.
and Councilwoman Sawicki.
Yes.
Okay, resolution passes.
Madam Mayor, City Council, item number G6, Michigan Municipal League Annual Conference. Mayor and Council, we have received the attached notice of the League's annual convention to be held in Grand Rapids, September 22nd through 24th, 2021. It is customary for the City Council to authorize attendance by interested members. If there are any of you who wish to attend, please let the clerk's office know as soon as possible so we can register you.
Madam Mayor,
Lion.
I'll offer the resolution to authorize those council members interested in to attend the Michigan Municipal League's annual convention, September 22nd through September 24th, 2021, with the city paying all necessary and related expenses.
Support.
support.
By Councilwoman Sawicki. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote, Mrs. Franks.
Mayor Kindle,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Costantino,
Yes,
Councilwoman Lyons,
Yes.
Councilwoman Pies,
Yes.
and Councilwoman Sawicki,
Yes.
and Councilman Tucson.
Yes.
Okay, resolution passes.
Okay, Madam Mayor and City Council, item number G7, Detroit Area Agency on Aging Annual Implementation Plan. Annually, the Detroit Area Agency on Aging, DAAA, that services the city of Harper Woods requests review and approval of their implementation plan. This plan outlines their services that will be provided to the participating communities serviced by the DAAA. I have reviewed the plan and compared it with past year's plan and believe it adequately considers the needs of the seniors in our area. In the approval process, we can make requests for revisions or disapprove of the plan. The local focal point that services the Harper Woods is the Helm, formerly Services for Older Citizens, who have been quite successful in servicing seniors in our area. It is my recommendation that this plan be received and approved as presented.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Councilwoman Lyons.
I'll make the motion to acknowledge receipt of and file the Detroit Area Agency on Aging Annual Implementation Plan for the fiscal year 2022.
support.
Support by Councilwoman Constantino. All in favor? I'm sorry, any discussion?
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Councilwoman Sawicki.
I don't know if anyone is here in the audience who might be able to speak to this. I noticed that there is information here, and I couldn't find it when I was searching through the material here, where they talk about respite care. And I know that some of these services are not necessarily provided by the Helm, but they're provided by various other agencies throughout Wayne County. I believe DAAA is the entire county, if I'm correct. And so I was curious whether the Helm provided respite care. And I don't know if our person is here who could answer that or not.
No, our person is not here tonight. So,
Question. And so I can find out about it afterwards, or if you have an opportunity to contact her, perhaps she could answer that question about the specifics of what the Helm might have available to our area seniors. So thank you.
all right, thank you. Is there any further discussion by city council member?
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Councilwoman Constantino.
this is a really nice comprehensive plan. I mean, it really goes into a lot. I think this is the best one I've ever seen. It really goes into a lot to include, trying to avoid isolation and things like that for our residents. And I know that we had a lot of problems with that over COVID, and that happens a lot with the elderly and disabled people. A lot of them feel isolated, and so I really like how this reaches out to people, and I've seen it in action, and it's very helpful.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, this is a motion. So, yeah, it is a motion, right? So all in favor of accepting this motion, this annual implement plan?
Aye.
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 All right, is there anyone opposed?
Motion carries.
Motion carries.
Okay, Mayor and Council, item G8, introduction and first reading, an ordinance regulating marijuana businesses. Mayor and Council, attached is a proposed ordinance to amend Chapter 12, Article 15 of the city's Code of Ordinances that prohibits marijuana establishments. As I have previously shared with you, I was recently made aware that there is a group of canvassers circulating petitions to have the matter of marijuana establishments placed on our local November ballot. If this referendum gains the signatures needed and is on the ballot, we could lose any local control over these businesses. Therefore, it is recommended that we at least begin the process of preparing and adopting an ordinance regulating the number of dispensary establishments and the type of marijuana businesses allowed, grow facilities, processor facilities, provisioning centers, biolab compliance, or secure transporter. The ordinance provides an application process, operational standards, and penalties for violating the ordinance. Once we begin licensing facilities, businesses here, we would be able to limit the type and quantity of facilities in order to preserve and protect the community. As this is only an introduction, it can be tailored to our specific needs and limitations, such as, but not limited to, police and fire personnel, equipment and after-school programs, and tailor it to be community specific. I have reviewed this ordinance as prepared and submitted by the city attorney, and it is recommended that it be introduced and placed for first reading.
Okay,
Madam Mayor,
yes, Councilwoman Pies.
I will offer by resolution to introduce and place for first reading an ordinance that amends Chapter 12, Article 15, marijuana establishments entitled Recreational Marijuana Establishments, and further to direct the city clerk to publish a notice of this in accordance with city charter requirements.
Support.
Okay, supported by Councilwoman Sawicki. Discussion.
Madam Mayor.
Madam Mayor,
Okay, Councilwoman Sawicki first, please.
Thank you. I noticed that this just deals with the establishment of recreational marijuana facilities. I know that the Michigan Court of Appeals has decided in favor of municipalities regulating the location of medical marijuana facilities as well. And the one person that approached me to sign a petition specified that he was asking for signatures regarding medical marijuana. And so I'm thinking that maybe we have to look at both. I also just want to mention that there's so much to look at with this. I don't want this to be rushed. I really don't want it to come up. And I guess this is a question for the city attorney. Is there anything that requires us to do the second reading and adoption within a certain amount of time? Because I asked that the city prepare a handout for me to pick up that's about 25 pages long that deals with introducing marijuana businesses into a community. There's also a number of Michigan Municipal League workshops online regarding this. And I really want our community to be best served when it comes to our due diligence on pursuing any kind of regulations here. Between the seven of us, I know that in the past when this has come up for discussion, there are a variety of different attitudes toward these facilities. And I think it's good that we have it on the table, but I don't want to be rushed to a second reading and adoption when I think it really is important for us to get into a lot of the details on this and look at what's happened in other communities. So I'm curious from the city attorney's point of view, is there a requirement that we take up for second reading and adoption within a certain amount of time?
Madam Mayor, may I?
Yes, of course.
Okay. Yes. You had several questions in there that kind of are, and I hate to say confusing the issue, but you and I, we know, we go back and forth on this thing. The issue is that we have an election that is quickly coming upon us, and we have people canvassing who don't need a whole lot of signatures in order to to have a voter initiative on marijuana recreational facilities. If it's a voter initiative, then the city would have no input. Whatever is decided, whatever in the state is, and they can do, they will do. That's how it will be. We have the ability to regulate. We're offered that. If we opt in and regulate, we can do that. But we're kind of under the gun, so to speak, to get this rolling after finding out that there's an initiative out there. We want to have something. What I have drafted is, and I've looked at MML, I've looked at various other ordinances around the state. I tried to make this as comprehensive in terms of the types of facilities. I will tell you specifically the things that I thought were inappropriate for Harper Woods. One was recreational marijuana events that I felt, and that's allowed by, if we don't have an ordinance in place, that's allowed under the statute. You could also have consumption facilities, which again, I thought, like, if you'll excuse me, hookah bars.
Right.
Where you would be having, marijuana sold and smoked. I eliminated that. Again, it's allowed under the statute. So if the initiative comes across, then we're stuck with whatever the state says in that statute, which I don't think is appropriate for Harper Woods. So I eliminated what I thought were the suspect areas, and most of the definitions, the amount of plants, it's all drawn from the statute. Plus there's rules and regulations, extensive rules and regulations on this and how you apply. That again is kind of governed by the state, at least the rules and regulations. The ordinance can be adopted, even a second reading, with, and if you'll notice, and I made it clear at the end, that we reserve the right, although you always have the right. But I wanted to make it clear to whoever's reading this that the council reserves the right to amend, because there are some areas here that we're going to need to discuss in the future. We just don't have the time. I mean, COVID had a lot to do with that, in that we couldn't meet and discuss these issues, such as how many facilities do you want to have? I don't know what the answer to that is. But you want to start the process, you want to have it on the books saying, oh no, we allow them, so their voter initiative is moot.
Right.
And doesn't make the ballot. So that's, and I hate to say a rush to, but that's the issue with why we're kind of bringing this up, first reading, second reading, get it adopted, and then we can amend as we determine what the parameters of Harper Woods' needs are.
Well, this fellow
Madam Mayor?
was on medical. His request was to sign for medical. And so I thought, this is recreational, and do we need to have a medical? That was the other part of the question.
That's a separate issue, because the Court of Appeals came down and, well, no, it's actually the Supreme Court came down, and there's two decisions, very strong decisions, that say the city may zone for medical marijuana caregivers, because the Supreme Court determined that caregivers was a business. And as our zoning, part of the oldest law going on, that municipalities, home rule states have the ability to zone. You have the ability to zone for when it's a business, and caregivers are a business. So we have at least two very strong Supreme Court decisions on that. And that's separate from recreational. And I don't know what and if you want to do something with regard to where you want to zone for that caregiver type of thing, that's a different ordinance.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure.
Madam Mayor?
Yes. Councilwoman Pies, and then Councilman Tucson.
Just a quick question again for our city attorney. Given that I believe ballot language and petitions are due to the state sometime in August. I'm wondering if this is going to be a second reading before that time. Will this be done timely at our next meeting in August?
Well, just because the ballots go to the state, don't mean they've been approved.
So do you know what their approval date is then?
Offhand,
roughly?
I can't tell you offhand. I don't know. That's the tips of my fingers here.
Are
but-
we just hoping then that it's after our next meeting?
Well, our next meeting is August 9th. I can't imagine that ballots are going to the state and being returned approved after that.
Right.
Or before
Prior
that.
to that, you mean?
Yeah, prior to that, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Tucson.
I sort of stemming off for Councilwoman Sawicki, and the thing of this is recreational marijuana versus medical marijuana. I would think that we were concerned, and just my thinking here is that if we want to control it better, it seemed like that the medical marijuana is more of a control group that would be a little bit better to manage than just have a recreational when anybody can just purchase it. So I'm just like, why does this thing say recreational versus, you know, like they say medical/recreational? I'm just, and caregivers, I mean, anybody can go to a doctor, anybody sick can go to a doctor, you know, the doctors that approve it and get a medical marijuana card, and they're not caregivers.
Madam Mayor, may I?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a complex body of law. The medical marijuana is separate and distinct from recreational marijuana. Medical marijuana, and there's been a lot of litigation on it, is something that's controlled by the state. It's a voter initiative. There's only a limited things we can do with medical marijuana, very limited. And the one thing is as to where we can zone for caregivers, because they've been determined to be businesses. Recreational marijuana, on the other hand, is different. It's a separate law that we can control, we can regulate. There's a extensive statute, extensive rules and regulations, and other communities have already drafted and have imposed some sort of, who have opted in. We initially opted out, now we want to opt in. So medical and recreational are two separate things. We can't regulate medical marijuana.
Right. State has that, right. Is there any further questions? Cheryl Constantino, Councilwoman Constantino?
Yes, I have a few questions on, well, number one, I think we definitely do need to talk about this. I agree with Councilwoman Sawicki that we need to investigate all the aspects of this and the ins and outs a little bit more, or not really little bit more, I mean a lot more. We need to get educated on this and know what we're getting ourselves into and how to go about this. I feel like, I don't know, so like some workshops or some kind of educational something would be very helpful to us. You know, just only finding out about this a few days, you know, just getting it, you know, several days before the meeting isn't really enough time to get completely educated on it. So I didn't hear the city attorney's answer to Councilwoman Sawicki's question as, do we have to have the second reading within the next month, or can we have more time for that so that we can get educated and really do our due diligence for our residents?
If I may, Madam Mayor?
Yes. Yes.
Yes, as I answered Councilperson Sawicki, this is not whether we can put off having a second reading isn't the issue. The issue is if there's a ballot initiative and that initiative actually makes it to the ballot for the voters to vote on, that could cause some severe trouble. That's the timing. It's not a matter of when can we have a second reading? Can we put it off? Can we think about this? I agree with you that there needs to be more discussion. Certainly an ordinance meeting, absolutely. I thoroughly agree with that. I don't dispute that at all. We need to talk about it some more. But for this initial ordinance, we're running into a deadline that we need to cut off, so that the voter initiative, like the medical marijuana was a voter initiative, and we have no control. We have no control. It was voter initiative.
Okay. Thank you. Is there any further discussion?
Madam Mayor?
Yes, Councilwoman Sawicki?
I know that as I was reading a number of ordinances, not just marijuana or, ordinances in communities and that sort of thing, some communities build into the ordinance a review process. And I know that we can take up any aspect of an ordinance in the future. What I think might be valuable for us is to say, once this has been approved, we will come back to it and set, 6 months, a year, we will put it right in there that we'll take this back up after, we have approved it in a limited amount of time, so that we can see what's going on in the community, so that we can revisit the issue, and that we're planned to revisit it. We can always take it up other than that, but I really would like to see us not let this just kind of, go along and, oh, well, not a whole lot's going on with this and we don't have to look at it again. I really think it would be valuable for our community to include some trigger that, we could definitely put it in that will, once one request was made, it'll trigger our coming back to this, or, something that would force us to revisit this issue soon, as opposed to just kind of waiting for a future date. So I'm just going to kind of recommend that, and see if you were the city attorney has any insight to when a good trigger date might be for us to revisit this once it is approved.
I would say, if there was a 3-month window to review this, but certainly following along with Councilperson Constantino, sooner than later, I think an ordinance committee meeting is probably due. Now that we can get together, we can talk, because it's a little difficult doing it this way. Now that we can actually get together and talk, I would say sooner than later, a meeting to maybe flesh out a few other points and a few other thoughts that I have that I just couldn't get into here without discussing them, but I didn't want to do it at this point. I'm going to need input from the committee and from council as to what their decisions are.
Okay. All right. Is there any further discussion? Okay, so can we have a roll call vote, Mrs. Franks?
Yep. Mayor Pro Tem Costantino.
Now this is just I just want to clarify that this is just the first reading, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So for first reading, I would say yes.
Councilwoman Lyons.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pies.
Yes.
Councilwoman Sawicki.
Yes.
Councilman Toussaint.
Yes, since the first reading, yes.
And Mayor Kendall.
Yes.
Okay, resolution passes.
All right.
Madam Mayor, City Council, item G9, modification of collective bargaining agreements, adding Juneteenth to city observed holidays. Mayor and Council, earlier this year, federal legislation established June 19th of each year to commemorate the emancipation of enslaved persons in the United States, while also celebrating the dignity of and contributions made by Black Americans. Therefore, we approached IAFF, COAM, TPOAM, clerical and public works units to agree to a modification of their respective collective bargaining agreements with the city, as we similarly seek to recognize this and celebrating by adding Juneteenth, June 19th, to the list of normal holidays per respective collective bargaining agreements to be effective commencing with this year, 2021.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Councilwoman Lyons.
I'll offer the resolution to approve the addition of the Juneteenth holiday on June 19th of each year to the city observed holidays for all City of Harper Woods employees.
Or
Support, Councilwoman Toussaint. Is there any discussion?
Yes.
Madam,
Yes,
I'll
Councilwoman
acquiesce.
I'm
Councilwoman
thinking,
Toussaint, if you
Yes.
discuss.
Again, suppose like this year, the holiday came on a Saturday. Will the employees get off Friday or Monday?
Okay, what we're doing this year is we're giving the employees a floating holiday to be used between now and at the end of the year. Going forward, it always will be observed on June 19th. If June 19th falls on a Saturday, Friday will be the day observed. If June 19th falls on a Sunday, then Monday will be the observance of the holiday.
Further discussion, Councilwoman Sawicki.
yes, I'm 100% in favor of recognizing Juneteenth as a holiday. But I have a little concern, and that is that in the past, whenever we, added a holiday to the city's employees, it was always, and obviously this is part of bargaining here, but it was always something that was bargained for because it is an extra cost to the city, time and a half for holiday pay, as well as any other additional cost for people coming in. And so my curiosity is, how many holidays do our employees have right now? And are there holidays that we had considered taking off of, like Columbus Day, which has become a very controversial.
You don't get that.
I'm just kind of curious. Mr. Kadat used to always ask us and always demand that the city take into consideration the costs when it came to holidays. And so, with that in my head, I guess I have to ask the question of the cost, and are there holidays that we might forego, like Columbus Day or something along those lines, and just to get that.
Oh, okay, I can tell you that the cost is not going to break the bank like any other holiday. Here we have approximately 14 holidays that employees enjoy. And again, what you're asking for is subject to collective bargaining. And, there's discussions on those things all the time. I will say that people enjoy their time off.
Of course.
Especially the front office here. It could be like a ER room here. So it's not going to break the bank at all. And like I said, any moving around of holidays would be subject to the collective bargaining process. I could tell you one thing, but the unions may not agree to it, and vice versa. So it's, I guess we cross those bridges when we get to them. But again, it's not going, the extra costs are minimal.
14 days is like 3 weeks. It's, you know, it's not an insignificant
Yeah.
number.
Yeah, I understand. Okay.
All right. Is there any further discussion? All right, roll call vote?
Councilwoman Lyons,
Yes.
Councilwoman Pies,
Yes.
Councilwoman Sawicki,
Yes.
Councilman Tucson,
Yes.
Mayor Kindle,
Yes.
and Mayor Pro Tem Costantino.
Yes.
Okay, resolution passes.
Okay, Madam Mayor and City Council, item G10, progress payment number 1, 2021 concrete pavement repair program number 180-260. Mayor and Council, attached is a letter from our city engineers transmitting progress payment number 1 on the 2021 concrete pavement repair project number 180-260. It is recommended that this payment be approved.
Resolution.
Councilman Tucson.
I recommend that we approve the payment to L. Anthony Construction, Inc. in the amount of $50,912.37 for progress payment number 1 on the 2020 concrete pavement repair project 180-260.
Support.
Support by Councilwoman Pies. Discussion. So this discussion, can we have a roll call vote, Mrs. Franks?
Councilwoman Pies,
Yes.
Councilwoman Sawicki,
Yes.
Councilman Tucson,
Yes.
Mayor Kindle,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Costantino,
Got her mute on.
Mayor Pro Tem Costantino.
It wasn't allowing me to unmute. I'm sorry. Yes.
Okay, no problem. And Councilwoman Lyons.
Yes.
Okay, resolution passes.
Okay, item G11, Madam Mayor and City Council, reestablish in-person city council meetings. With the recent reopening of 32A District Court and the reduced concerns of the COVID-19 pandemic, I am requesting that we resume holding the city council meetings in the council chambers, starting with our next meeting, August 9th. It is also recommended that we hold the meetings at 7 p.m. as we did prior to the pandemic.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Councilwoman Pies.
I will offer the motion to resume the holding of city council meetings in council chambers at 7 p.m. beginning with the August 9th, 2021 meeting.
Support.
Support by Councilwoman Lyons. Any discussion?
Well, I have a discussion. I thought we had already I didn't think that holding the meetings at 5 o'clock had anything to do with COVID-19. I thought we had all agreed on it because everyone's schedule that the holding at 5 was a better time than at 7 o'clock. So I'm not sure why we want to switch back all of a sudden. I don't have any complaints.
It was okay. John, will you answer that? Because it was because of COVID.
Yes, it was because of COVID. That's why we had our meetings at 5 o'clock, but prior history was that city council meetings were always run at 7 o'clock at night. And I want to say even before that, I believe they were at 7:30.
Right.
The mayor?
Councilwoman Sawicki?
I want to throw in the fact that it's actually in the ordinance that way. And so we do have an ordinance at the 7 p.m. council time. Because COVID required us to go to a Zoom platform, we had the opportunity to change the time. But I know a number of people in the community have objected to the 5 o'clock time, and they preferred it to be a little later. And so I'm glad it's going back to our original time personally.
Councilwoman Pies?
I am wondering if the meetings will still be available on YouTube and if they will be live streamed.
They certainly will be available on YouTube.
Will they be
Madam
live
Mayor, may I
streamed?
interject on this?
Yes. Yes.
We have the capability of recording and putting them on YouTube, but right now we do not have the capability of live streaming them out during the time of the meeting.
I am, excuse me, I'm wondering why that is, because I have a YouTube, or I'm sorry, I have a Zoom account that I use for another organization, and I am able to live stream on social media with that while the meeting is going on.
Yes, it can be done, but we don't have the internet access available in council chambers to me to allow me to broadcast over the internet.
So is that a broadband problem then that we need to take care of?
That would be something for the city offices and our IT people of the city to discuss and try and resolve.
Thank you.
We'll look into that.
Is there any further discussion? All right, seeing no hands. All in favor?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Raise your hand or speak.
Aye.
Okay. Is there anyone opposed to it?
Yeah, I oppose because I like the 5 o'clock, but majority rules.
It's in the ordinance. Okay. The motion passes.
Okay.
All right,
I have no further business, Madam Mayor.
all right. Call the audience, one-time city residents.
All right. Madam Mayor, if I may interject before we get started, for those who joined the meeting after it started, we have everybody locked on mute. So if you would like to speak, you can go to the reactions and click on raise hand, or I will be scanning across. And if you turn your camera on and raise your hand, we will try to recognize you and give you time to speak. We have 2 people already who have electronically raised their hand.
All right,
Lori Boyd, I believe you were the first. I'm going to ask you to unmute.
okay. You're.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, we can hear you.
You guys can hear me? Okay, hi, my name is Lori Boyd. I'm coming before you today. I've lived in Harper Woods for 24 years.
Can we have your address, please?
Yes, 18713 Elkhart, ELKHART.
Okay, thank you.
I don't know what the procedures are, so I'm just going to get straight to my question. How do I go about getting speed bumps on my street? At the end of my street on Kelly is a light, so they start there. And then they run straight until I believe it's
a stop sign.
it's a stop sign.
And then they go through that too. Okay, sorry.
Sorry about that. It goes all the way to the next stop sign, which is like 2 blocks. So they have a straight runway. And they go 60 miles an hour because they don't have to stop. They can just race their car down my street. And I'd like to know, me and a neighbor have already submitted a petition, I believe it is, to the chief of police. But how do I get a petition so that it can, how do I go about getting these speed bumps on my street, please?
We'll have our DPW superintendent take a look at it. Bill?
Okay, well,
Hold on, let me finish. Okay.
can I continue?
Sure.
Okay, on the corner of Riot and Elkhart, so far in the last 18 months, there has probably been 3 car accidents because they don't stop. The people on Riot don't stop, and the people coming from Kelly have already started their engine and they're on the go. Right? It doesn't take long for these cars to hit 40, 45. by the time they get to that side street. So how do I follow up? You said you would talk to the city
Our DPW and superintendent.
DT,
Yes.
okay, DTW. Do you want my email address so somebody can email me something back?
Bill?
Bill?
Remind them about the porch that had to get rebuilt at that corner because the car hit it.
Okay, so who am I giving my email address to?
Okay. Bill?
Yes, that would be, you can send that to Harper Woods DPW.
Oh, hang on, I got a piece of paper right here. DPW, and what's their email address?
That's at gmail.com.
Gmail.com.
Correct.
So is DPW?
Harper Woods DPW, that's all one word, lowercase?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, Gmail. Thank you kindly. This has been very interesting for me because I've never listened to one of the city council meetings. I need to listen in more often. You learn a little bit about what's going on in your community. So thank you kindly for your advice, and I'm going to leave it. And you are, sir, I can't see you specifically. What is your name? The gentleman sitting next to the mayor.
Oh, John Szymanski.
Szymanski?
That's correct.
SM.
SZYMANSKI.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Zazansky, and thank you, City Council, for at least listening and hearing me out. I thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day. Okay, who's next, Bob?
We had Rebecca with her hand electronically raised, so I'm going to ask her to unmute at this time.
Okay, and give her address.
Rebecca, name?
Good afternoon.
Good
My
evening.
name is Rebecca Anderson. I am not a resident of the city of Harper Woods. I
Oh.
received an email, excuse me?
Hold up, just a moment. Now, this is for
Our
city,
city attorney is muted.
yes.
Call to audience is for anyone. We cannot restrict residents only.
Okay,
Leslie is absolutely correct. This is an open meeting. Open meeting means anyone, and anyone may speak, but they're under the same requirements as everybody else. One time, 3 minutes.
okay, thank you. All
Can
right,
can I continue?
yes, you can.
I received an email invite to this meeting regarding an email that I sent to the city council regarding you, Madam Mayor,
Oh, okay,
in our encounter in a class for biology with Dr. Bull, where you copied my work and got us both kicked out of the class.
wow.
Wow. You don't remember me?
Oh, of course I remember, I think.
I'm sure you do.
Mm-hmm. All right. And your point is?
I thought the council should be aware of who they put in position in your mayor's spot.
And you say you were invited by who?
I didn't say by who. I said I was invited. By who is really not an issue, is it? Your behavior is more of an issue for me.
Oh, okay. I appreciate that.
I'm sure you do.
Is there anything else you would like to say?
No, I just wanted to make sure that everybody knew. I sent the email, but I'm not ashamed to show my face because I didn't do anything wrong. You did.
Well, I think the beg to differ with you, but we can go back and forth because how would I?
No, we're not going to go back and forth. All they have to do is contact Dr. Bull at Wayne County Community College District, Eastern Campus, and they'll find out that what I'm saying is absolutely true.
Absolutely. Okay, fine. I You
I know
made,
you have nothing to say. There's nothing you can say.
Okay,
oh, really?
thank,
Really?
All right. So fine. Thank you for your,
You're ridiculous.
who are you?
oh, that was interesting. Anyone else?
Yes, Mr. James Dennis has had his hand raised.
Mr. Dennis?
Hello, Mayor and Council. That was certainly interesting. The reason why I wanted to get on is I want to find out exactly what the status is with DTE and the city. I contacted Councilperson Lyons and a couple of the other the last couple of weeks. Maria and I have lived in the city for 34 years. The first 31 years, I could probably count on one finger the number of times we lost power. In the last 2.5 years, we have lost power 13 times, including 3 separate days last week. And I understand, they're every time you talk, I've talked to them, they're constantly telling me it's wind and it's trees and everything. We are an established city. This should not be earth-shattering news to DTE or anyone. We pay them to serve this community. And to lose power 3 days in a row and 13 times in 2.5 years is totally unacceptable. I've noticed in the last couple of weeks, they've had trucks out cutting trees. This should have been done years ago. These are well-established trees in a well-established city. And I'm just kind of curious as to what interaction you guys have had or what explanation to you that the citizens aren't getting, because this is totally unacceptable. I know this has happened to you guys too. Maybe not as often, but this is quite a bit.
Okay, I can give an explanation to that. We have met with DTE. We have looked at the grid that this particular slice of the city is on. And believe it or not, our city hall and our library are on 2 different grids. And where the problem is coming from is that the mature trees are not only in the right of way, but they're also in the backyards of the residents. So DTE will cut the trees in the right of way. However, when a tree is on private property, sometimes people may comply. Sometimes people don't want to have their trees cut down. And what happens is that when you have torrential rains like we've had and winds, the trees are like sails. When the wind comes in, it doesn't take much to knock a branch down, to sever a line. I want to say squirrels can come up there and chew off some of the casing. That has been some of the problems that we have experienced here, and DTE is making an effort to reach out to the people and to work out something. It's a bad problem. We've been hit with a lot of storms, a lot of sudden downpours, and with the wind, like I said before, it's almost like a sail on a ship, and it'll tear branches down, it tears trees down, and we're just as frustrated as you. I mean, all the power outages that have happened to the residents, they've happened to City Hall as well. So,
and I truly appreciate, and I truly understand that it's not a city issue, but literally to have to sit at home and wondering, like the last couple of days, all the storms that, are we going to lose power again? This is 2021. This isn't like 1875.
yeah, that's understood. We're trying our best to work with them to get a solution to this. It's not as easy as one may think, but we are working on a solution.
Well, thank you. I appreciate your guys' effort. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Next, Madam Mayor, we have Gerald Irvin.
Okay, Mr. Irvin?
Hello, Madam Mayor and City Council members. I wanted to address the same thing that a couple of the citizens was talking about. I don't have a backyard with, you can go through my traffic. My backyard is full, no wiring is going in the back, and my power has been out about 6 or 7 times. And they talked about the transmitters, they're old, they're outdated. a lot of things has been going on, and plus the speed on my street. I stay at 18988 Huntington, and a lot of the traffic just fly up and down the street. It's like they're racing, and I reported this several times. And the answer that I got was, well, right now there's nothing we can do about it. You know, we got to have this, we got to have that. So I'm concerned because there are kids on my street as well. And a car almost flew down so fast it almost went on side the curb. So I want to know, because I done had 3 accidents. My next door neighbor, a car flipped over and slid almost into my house with the speed. So I just something just keep going on, and you know, like Mr. Dennis was talking about, this is the 2021. We're not back in the 90s and stuff. It seemed like the infrastructure of the power grid or something is just messed up, and we paying all this money. Our bills keep going up higher and higher, and there's nothing being done about what we've been talking about. So I've been here in Harper Woods for 5 years, and I'm concerned. I have a lot of neighbors who are concerned, and they want to know what can be done about it. I understood that you spoke to Edison, but they always give you a lame excuse on what's going on. So we need to do something more about just getting a lame excuse. You know, we're citizens that are paying our taxes and we're living here, and it just don't seem like it's right.
Thank you. Is there anyone else with their hands up?
Mr. Kellis has his hand raised.
Mr. Kellis?
Good evening, Madam Mayor and City Council. I'm on a new headset, so I hope you can hear me okay. I have a couple things for council tonight, and then I have quite a few good things to say. The question being is, in the last special city council meeting, there was not an adjournment, and there was a call to order made by the pro tem, and then there was a return to adjourn. And I'm wondering, 2 things. Is that allowed to be missing from being shown to the public? And the second one is that the comments from the public on the agenda were missing. The last thing that I would like to know if council can address is, well, 2 things. The minutes that were approved tonight, residents could not see online. So if we have any concerns with the minutes, can we still write Ms. Clark about that? And the next one is, as we've been, as a city, we've gone through the whole matter of the Slater case and transparency and things like that. Now that the Advertiser Times has come out through the media, trying to explain to the residents how everything has been cleared, I was just wondering if we were going to have an official word from the city, including the officers' good names that have returned back to work. And then the good stuff. I'm very happy that council decided to pass for the baseball camp. I am really hoping that brings back some strength to bring us back into another league, because back in the day, Harper Woods, the parades were longer, and Little League was how I grew up with. So I really hope we go into another one. The other piece of good news was the Eastland investor. I'm glad to see that we have an investor that's going to spend that amount of money bringing something to that land versus what it is now. I'd like to thank Bill from DPW for the Beaconsfield construction, because so far everything has gone really smooth, except for the dummies in public that go the wrong way on a one-way. But other than that, it's been a success. The guys have been very communicative and things have been good. With the floods that we went through, again, kudos for everything that's been handled so far in the flood. A couple residents were confused when it came to filling out the form for the city as to what it was for. And kudos to the city and Harper Woods Fire Department for the kits that they made available for many of us that had flooded. Because when we got the Nixel for the FEMA, that caused some confusion too, because we didn't really have much notice and residents didn't really know what their purpose was. And a lot of residents were asking, is that just to aid the city for the expenses, or will the residents get any aid from FEMA? And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak from the audience?
If you'd like to speak and you haven't raised your hand, please turn your camera on and wave at the camera so we can see you visually and acknowledge you. If not, we will continue.
Okay,
I see no one else at this time, Madam Mayor.
okay, then we'll call the council, please.
All right, Madam Mayor, for call the council for tonight's meeting, what I would like to do at this moment is I'm going to mute everyone. I will then unmute you and you can acknowledge them either by their waving their hands, and we will unmute only one at a time to let them speak this evening, if that is permissible.
Yes, yes, that's fine, Bob. Okay, Councilwoman Constantino.
Yes, so you said we could discuss later about the
Ordinance meeting.
Ordinance committee, yeah. So I would like us to set up an ordinance committee meeting this month that everyone can make it to, that's on the committee as well as the city attorney. So I don't know if this is the time that we could do that.
I think John will get back with you.
I'll get back.
Within the next couple of days with a date and time.
All right, I'd like a choice of date and times too, since it's summer and a lot of people are on vacations.
Right, well, he'll give you a couple of dates and we can all agree upon those dates. Okay, is there anything else? No, I let Cheryl complete it. Are you through, Cheryl?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Councilwoman Sawicki, please. You need to unmute yourself. Okay.
All right, am I unmuted now? All right. Couple of things. First of all, I noticed a number of people had mentioned the DTE issue, and I know that the city was able to meet with DTE. I think it might be valuable if DTE had a community kind of a meeting. They did that a few years ago, and I think that many of the members of our community found that to be a valuable process. So maybe we can ask DTE to have a community meeting so that we can hear what they plan to do to correct this problem. And if it's an issue of transmitters that need to get replaced, if it's an issue of going into people's yards to trim trees, whatever the case might be, they have to get on the ball on this. And that might be a valuable way of their doing that and reaching a number of members of our community. Also, I know I was on a number of Michigan Municipal League Zoom meetings recently, and one of the things that they are promoting is the Michigan Municipal League Foundation called Serve My City, Serve My City. And I thought it would be a very valuable thing to turn our acting city manager onto, as well as our treasurer, you know, in that department. They apparently have a lot of strategic planning, free technical assistance, access to federal resource dollars. Their argument is to not leave any money on the table with the American Rescue Plan. And so they have services available to the community in order to get money to our cities. And so I wanted to make the city aware of that and perhaps get some of that going for us if we are not already on board with some of that money. Also, I know that Mr. Callis raised a question just now that I think would be valuable to actually have responded to, and that is the question about the form that the city put out that residents responded to. I know I've answered questions online on social media about it, that it was intended to allow the city to know the extent of the damages that we faced, but it's not a method for the community to receive money directly from the government. And so I thought it would be valuable for you to explain that, to explain the, you know, the process going forward, and perhaps our hope that FEMA does step in to get money back to the community, and what, if anything, residents can do if they are not covered, like I'm not covered by my insurance. Is there any way to recoup some of the lost, damage? I didn't have a great deal of damage in my house because my furnace is still working. My water heater, is still working. I didn't lose my, washer or dryer. But a number of residents lost a lot more than I did. And so is there any way that they can look to recoup some of their losses if their insurance is not covering that? And I'm just going to kind of ask if you could respond to that.
I was going to say that the forms in their initial stages were to give the county a picture of the damage just contained in our area. Again, they're looking at 43 townships and cities within Wayne County, and they're corresponding directly with the FEMA offices. They are communicating with us. We are finding updates daily in regards to that. And yes, I do want to say all the ARPA money and all the recovery monies, we definitely are aware that it's out there. We're engaging not only Wayne County, we're engaging our auditors, we're engaging MML, anybody that has any kind of access or insight that we may not be aware of. We're engaging them into the process. So in response to everything that you're saying, we're doing all that we can at the moment, and they're garnering data to determine what it is that they're going to do. We do know that there's a lot of money that has, I want to say, arrived at Wayne County. Harper Woods is destined to get a pretty good sizable share. We have some disproportionate damage because of the flood, that's involved with this. Our library had extensive damage. And again, we have been meeting with the FEMA people. We have been meeting with the state police. We're giving our damage claims, and we're moving through the process.
Okay. Can residents do anything or look for any kind of compensation or anything outside of their own insurance companies?
That's premature for me to say. I don't know if they can or they can't. A first source they should look to is their insurance companies. And again, document all the damage, take pictures. If you have invoices, make sure you have that to the extent possible, so that if there is reimbursement, you can back up your claims too.
I'm sorry, I'll just throw this one other thing. I noticed that there was a form that was available online. I don't even remember where I saw it, but it was from Great Lakes Water Authority. And it was some sort of a claim form that GLWA had from last year. And I don't know if they have anything that they make available to cities or to individual homeowners when things flood like this.
Okay, that form was passed out through the Grosse Pointes. And I want to say that the Grosse Pointes had a different kind of damage than people from Harper Woods. They had stormwater and sewage water. We have two separate systems. Again, Torrey Road pumping station saved our life. Had we not been involved in that, we would have had all the extensive, I want to say, flood damage and sewage damage that went through the points. But again, Torrey Road takes out all the sanitation from the city of Harper Woods, and like Bill expressed, it diverts it, puts it into a different holding tank. When there is flooding, we get stormwater. So the nature of the damage in the city, has been stormwater. It hasn't been contaminants or fecal matter or anything like that.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Councilwoman Pies?
Thank you. I wanted to thank Congresswoman Lawrence for her attention to Harper Woods and the news media. She was also here on Saturday meeting with FEMA and walking around. I really appreciate how she's brought our plight into the local news. I wish that our state senator and state rep had paid some attention to Harper Woods, word here or there, and unfortunately we didn't see that. I would also like to say that there's probably some people here who are attending because I had stated that I would state some of my reasons for my June vote to not renew Mr. Raker's city manager contract. Unfortunately, I have been advised to not say anything tonight about my vote, so I will save it for another day. I do reiterate that I do not take lightly my vote about anything. My votes are determined what I believe is best for the city now and in the future, and my beliefs are greatly informed by both my professional experiences with staff and discussions with and emails from residents. None of my votes have been or are about my personal feelings. Anyone here is certainly welcome to contact me directly about any concerns, rather than make assumptions based on social media comments. I would also like to state that I believe Councilwoman Lyons is libeling me and our acting city manager in her Facebook social media posts, specifically June 14th. She's certainly swinging low on her campaign. And as a council person, her derogatory and false social media comments and attacks about her colleagues, including me, are underhanded, divisive, and shameful for the city and those with whom she represents politically. I will add that a Black woman brought Juneteenth to Harper Woods, and she's now our mayor. And I will say that the people instrumental in the Eastland development the last 14 months have been our acting city manager, John Szymanski, our former mayor, Ken Pointer, and our current mayor, Valerie Kendall. Thank you.
Couldn't do it without Ty. Okay. Councilman Toussaint. Councilman Toussaint?
Yes, I am here. I was good. Did Veronica finish? Have you finished?
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to comment a little bit on the Eastland. Currently, Eastland is considered impervious land, 100% concrete. Cities and buildings are assessed and built on the amount of impervious land they contain. North Point's redevelopment plan includes 3 retention ponds and multiple green spaces, will reduce our impervious land by 40 to 60%, reducing the amount of water discharged to our stormwater drain system. This storm draining is jointly supported by St. Clair Shores, Grosse Pointe Woods, MDOT, Wayne County Roads, and Harper Woods. Harper Woods is currently paying a disproportionate amount because of Eastland. This increase in green space and water retention could yield a huge potential savings to the city and save taxpayers' dollars. I just want to make sure everybody realize that. I'd also want to thank John, our acting city manager, for making that decision about the Torrey Road pumping station. So even though we had flooding, God, it could have been a lot worse. Thank you for your foresight on that. I also want to thank the DPW for responding quickly to a pothole at the intersection of 8 Mile and Harper Woods, where you see the Welcome to Harper Woods electric billboard. Not sure whether the hole was the responsibility of Harper Woods, St. Clair Shores, or the county, but that hole was getting deeper by the second with cars dodging it. Anyway, it is patched. Thank you, DPW. And I did see FEMA, teams of FEMA walking up and down the streets, even on Danbury Lane, trying to assess some of the damage with Chief Ben Smith. So they are in our community and trying to provide as much support as they can. Thank you.
Is there anyone else on council who would like to speak? Councilwoman Lyons?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to say that, one, to Councilwoman Pies's comments, I'm entitled to my opinion, and I am entitled to use my social media to express the feelings that I have towards policies and or opinions and resolutions and actions by my colleagues. And with that being said, I just wanted to also say that I thought that it was a very lovely event that the Neighborhood United basketball one-on-one tournament turned out. It was a great event facilitated by Will Smith, and it also is a great thing that the city is kicking off this wonderful period of, you know, having basketball and baseball and other things like their baseball camp that my nephew, who's 6 years old, is really looking forward to. And it's wonderful that our city is getting back to, you know, some of these wonderful things that, you know, really enhanced my childhood growing up here in Harper Woods, including Little League and, you know, baseball and team sports. My other question is, a resident, Donna Miller, has actually expressed sort of frustration with some of the burning that has been happening in backyards. Essentially, residents are burning either rubbish or leaves or debris. And I just wanted to ask what could be done about some of this burning that, you know, is just creating lots of smoke, and how she can actually, you know, rectify this situation. One other thing is, I wanted to ask about our plans for replacing our city manager who was recently terminated. You know, do we have plans to pay his severance? And since we've opened up our city to lawsuits by voting to terminate his contract, what are our plans? I did see somewhere in an article that there were plans for a nationwide search. Is that something that all of council has approved? You know, because that didn't come before council as a body. And so what is that search going to entail? And what is the timeline for actually finding a city manager now? And, you know, one of the other things is, considering that, you know, Harper Woods, you know, didn't face as, you know, it wasn't as terrible as, you know, everything that happened in Grosse Pointe with the sewage and all of our stormwaters. People would have definitely, you know, we've all been suffering, but, you know, is there a way that we can inform our residents what public, you know, works actually do? Like what exactly the process entails? What does our sewage system look like? And why was it that the Tory pump saved us versus, you know, what Grosse Pointe Woods uses? And so I think that in some ways we can look for a better forum to explain to the residents, you know, our infrastructure so that they can know, like, there are a lot of residents have actually reached out to me and asked, like, why are we flooding so much and what's going on? Is it global warming? Is this something that we need to take and bring to the national attention of our lawmakers, that, you know, we need to put more pressure on folks because of global warming? Or is it our crumbling infrastructure? So, and then the last thing, I do want to thank, I had an opportunity earlier today to personally thank Congresswoman Brenda Lawrence for, you know, all of the attention that she has, you know, brought to our city. And I do have to say that State Senator Adam Ollier has reached out to various members of our city government, and that he is here for us as a community if we need anything. And with that being said, I also wanted to just say to the resilient residents of Harper Woods, you know, thank you for your resilience, because this has definitely been a hard time with all of the flooding. And thank you so much for your patience as, you know, we as a government, you know, really try to be there for you.
Okay. Is there any? Okay, Councilwoman Pies, you have your hand up again? Or is that just still up from before? Okay, thank you. All right, John, do you want to address
Sure,
what you?
Sure. I'd like to make a little announcement here just to clear the air. Councilmember Lyons, I never had any intention of being this city's permanent city manager. That is not my goal. If anybody is out there putting things about me on social media, please stop. I have been here in a temporary position. I think I have done a very, very good job in this position in all aspects. From the time our former city manager left until now, a city has prospered. It's a different city now than it was a year and a half ago. And everybody on the council knows that. It's never been my intention to be the permanent city manager. I'm not going to be the permanent city manager. And there are some talented people that want to come in and take this job from the point that we have now and bring a new vision, not division, a new vision. And that's where I'm leaving it, Mayor.
All right. Since I'm the last person to speak, I first of all want to speak and say thank you to Officer Hawley for his heroic actions that he taken during that flooding and stuff. And just kudos to him, and thankful that we have such a wonderful police public safety department that goes above and beyond the call of duty. So at a later date, we will be doing something quite, to recognize Officer Polly, but I just wanted to say that for everyone here because this is the first meeting since this has happened. And I wanted him to know how much we all recognize the bravery and the service that our public safety gives, and especially him, because that was just his adrenaline. If you saw that video, it was just a move of action. And that's what's happened when you have the people's best interests at heart and you move on that. So once again, kudos to Officer Polly, and we thank you very much for being a part of our Harper Woods department. Next, we talked about DTE, and we reached out to DTE, and we expect them to be giving us a date very soon where they will be talking. They wanted to do a letter kind of campaign. No, that's not sufficient. Our people need answers. So we're waiting for a date for them to decide when they can come in and make a presentation to our community, because we deserve answers. We deserve to be treated just like anyone else. And we actually demand that they give us real answers and not just fluff kind of things that has been transpiring when you call someone from DTE or whatever. So we're waiting for that for them to get in touch with our acting city manager to give us a date that we can have. And it may have to be something outdoors because of the amount of people, but we want them to come and be able to give us definite answers as to why we keep having these outages. And for one thing, another thing is that our DPW deserves kudos as everyone else does, but for during the flood, they went above and beyond, and I have to give that to the direction of Mr. Snyder, because under his leadership, his people worked tirelessly to make our community as much as possible back to normalcy in a very short days. I have neighbors and stuff that are still with the Detroit, when I look over that way, that still have trash and everything still in front of their houses for almost 2 weeks ago. And we can look down our streets and see that we have had our city cleaned back up once again. And that is due to the direction of Bill Snyder and his crew at DPW. So I thank them once again, and I really, truly appreciate them. Also, today I noticed about a group, about 6 children was trying to go over to the library for activities. And it's unfortunate that they couldn't get into the library because of the flooding for the library. And I just wish that it was something set up temporarily for those kids that are trying to have activities, you know, this while the repairs are going on for the library, to have some kind of activities for the children that have walked. I saw these children walking, about 6 of them walking to the library looking to get involved in something at the library. So maybe we would reach out to the librarian and see if there's something that they can do temporarily, maybe in the corner of the parking lot or something under a tent or whatever, just so that the kids have some kind of activities, because, you know, this is summertime, they're free and they need to be engaged. So, and for far as it goes with replacing, putting out the call for the city manager's job, we have been actively involved with MML, and for them to do what they normally do, it's about, the cheapest is about $14,000, where they cover everything. They do the interviews and, you know, and then they give us a set. Well, we are just going to use them as a classification, as a posting on MML. And we also will be posting the job on our website, and we will accept resumes and applications through that way from MML and also through our city website. So we should be able to have something before you guys shortly, and we will let you all know if it's, you know, if there's any input that we need from city council. That is handled by the acting city manager for employment, and we will do an interview as city council for the candidates that have been selected. That is the way it normally has happened. And other than that, as Councilwoman Lyons alluded to also, that was a very good program for the basketballs the other day. Not only did we have the basketballs giveaway and interaction, and it was just wonderful to see the amount of alumni that had graduated from Harper Woods being involved, working with the kids. That is what some of the things that Coach Smith will bring along with the baseball. We're hoping just to get everybody involved. And it was a young lady out there with the exercise, and it was just a wonderful thing to see our park being used to the fullest, because not only that, we had the 14th congressional meeting was held in the park that morning. And so it was an ongoing thing of activities. And that's what we want, is that everyone has an opportunity to use our park and use it to the fullest. And I think we did that on Saturday from morning to evening. It was just a wonderful event. And with saying that, if there's nothing else, can I ask for a motion to adjourn?
I motion to adjourn.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Good night, everyone, and be safe.
Thank you.
Thank you.